Hey gang, Rodin here. Welcome on back to the Cade and another episode of Suckerpunch Sunday. And for this one, I wanted to try and see if we could find another hidden gem that never made its way over to the US shores. And as you have seen in this series already once before, I am a massive anime fan, and I am also a big fan of one anime in particular that came out 40 years ago now, that happens to be called, in America, Fist of the North Star. Now there are, and I've already got one episode on this series to show, a million variations of this series in video game form. The majority of them, however, are terrible. And a lot of it had to do with the technological limitations of the time. A lot of it had to do with the fact that you had companies who didn't understand what they could do with it. But if there was ever a game or ever a franchise that was ripe for a fighting game, this is it. And in 2005, Sega, along with developer Arc System Works, did just that. They created a game called, and this is going to be a long one, so you have to bear with me, Fist of the North Star, The Twin Blue Stars of Judgment, History of the Fistmasters. Translation from Japanese, Hokuto no Ken, Shinpan no Sosoi Kengo Retsuden. You're welcome. This game was released in Japan in arcades in 2005, was released in North America in December 2005, and was released on the PlayStation 2 in Japan only in March 2007. So very much like what we did with Alien vs. Predator last week, I wanted to take a look at a game that is probably the best version of a franchise that we ever saw in an arcade, but never made it over to American consoles. And it should have. And what we're going to do over the course of the next 25 minutes or so is we're just going to get stuck into the weeds on this. Now, this game is based off of the engine and mechanics of another fighting game that was released in the US, and we are going to do a profile of it at some point, called Guilty Gear. So, in similar ways to what has been done, and we're obviously going to take Kenshiro, why would we not? He's the hero of the story, he's the best fighter, and he is just everything that I love about this series. But how this game works is it's your standard fighting game where it is 2 out of 3, and you have your ability to do pretty much whatever you want. Now, I love the fact that he's in his greens. Before Kenshiro really becomes who he is throughout the series, and the first thing I have to do is I've got to double check one thing, as you pause it, I got to check the key config. If you're going to play this game, I want to let you know right now, you have to make sure you go into the control menu and turn the analog on. If you don't, then your control stick will not work. So when I play tested this to make sure it would work on my PS2 emulator, that was the first thing I found out. I was like, hey, why is my joystick not working? You have to come into the key config, turn the analog on, then exit out, and now you can move. Otherwise, you're going to just stand there and be a tackling dummy. And then it's on. Now, like all fighting games, you have your heavy, medium attacks. You can stack moves. Now, one of the things that I found about this game, we get a fireball, is that you are able to do something that allows you to essentially stack moves from the start of the fight to the end. Decide the destiny. So obviously, as you look up at the top, there are your regular life gauge. And then if you look below, you see Boost and you see Aura. Boost allows you to obviously deliver more powerful attacks, and then Aura is what allows you to perform super attacks. And of course, every time that Kenshiro wins, you have oh my god, I forgot what her name is. I wanted to say Ray, but Ray's another character. Lin. So boost allows you, it's divided into 3 sections, and using a boost will allow a player to cancel a move after it hits. It also shoots the character forward. So you use the right shoulder button, your R1 button, to use the boost. The player can also boost when not doing a move in order to jet across the screen quickly. Boosts are frequently used to perform combos that would otherwise not be possible. So now it's Kenshiro versus Shin, and this is the great battle in the early part of the series, because it was Shin who gives Kenshiro the 7 scars on his chest, who literally carves them into him. And then steals his significant other, Yuria, which becomes Kenshiro's entire purpose of trying to go through the Wasteland to get her back. Now, graphically, what I will say right now is that this is far and away the best version of this IP that I have seen anywhere. Which makes sense because this is a 21st century game on the PlayStation 2, which was still one of the most powerful consoles ever constructed. And having Sega's ability, along with Arc, to create really, really eye-catching graphics with a whole lot of depth to it. I mean, this is something that I would think you would have seen on the Neo-Geo in the 90s, taken to another level as we dispatch Shin. And now we have to fight Mamiya. So Mamiya is a character that is actually an ally, but when we first meet her, she's very standoffish, which in the world of Fist of the North Star makes sense. And Kenshiro is immediately struck by how much she resembles Yuria. So it becomes very much a brother-sister dynamic, and they're not really the sort of ones to fight each other. So this is not something that Kenshiro would necessarily be looking to take part in. If anything, it's in his nature to want to protect her, even though Mamiya, as she demonstrates many a time throughout the series, is not a shrinking violet, and she is not a dainty flower. She can hold her own. But against the 64th successor of Hokuto Shinken, unfortunately, she doesn't have a chance. But Kenshiro would take no glory in having to fight her. So that little dash I did right there with the R1 button, that's using the boost. And you see the boost gauge go down. And she's got those little spiked yo-yos. Ooh, that was fairly impressive. And she's got the crossbow and the dagger. Man, she's already taking me out. Oof. Oh, nice choke takedown with the yo-yos.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
She might have me here.
0. Time's up.
So we ran out of time, and she wins match 2.
Lose.
Now, I don't have any rankings on this game, only because, being a game that was not released in the US, there were no reviews done by American companies at the time. Now, I do remember there being another version of... Oh, she ran me over with her motorcycle. That's a super move right there. And she's still running me down with a motorcycle. What the heck? Nice trip with the yo-yos again. Oof. There we go. Well, Mamiya put up a very, very good fight. And that it came down to at the end that I had to make sure that I could just keep her off balance with the kicks. Helped. So now we have to fight Ray, who is essentially our brother figure in this series. And I'm going by based off of the idea that if you never watched an episode of it, and I know many of you may not have, then you may not understand that. But Ray practices, he's from one of the same schools of martial arts that Shin was a part of. So whereas Kenshiro hits you and you explode from the inside out, Ray will slice you and dice you with his fingers, quite literally. And he's very aggressive, very cocky, but also very graceful. Now the speed of it, this fight, this is like Street Fighter 2 Turbo in terms of kineticness, and I really like that. Oh, but Ray put me down.
Battle 2. Decide the destiny.
We got lucky there because we blocked his special attack. If he pulled that off, I don't want to think about how much damage that would have done. Slap. Now, like we were talking about in our last episode with Godzilla, if you're looking for a game that has a lot more nuance in terms of what characters are capable of generating for special moves and whatnot, I think this is a game that would be right up your street. And now that I'm able to actually play it on my PS2 emulator, this is a game that I will be wanting to spend a lot of time going back through and figuring out how the special attacks work and how to unlock them. Which is no mean feat at the moment because I am still knee-deep in playing, in playing Balatro on Steam. I am super impressed with how that game continues to keep me involved. Ooh! Nice oh, another nice counter. I gotta hit him one more time. Oh my god, he got me. You saw how small his life bar was. I needed to hit him once. One time I needed to get him, and I could not connect. Alright. So, as much as I love Kenshiro, and how could I not, the other character in this story that really interests me is Rao. And Rao is the oldest and far and away the strongest of the three brothers who are at the core of the story of Fist of the North Star. And Rao, along with being the biggest and the strongest, he's truly a giant. He's also the most aggressive and the most merciless. So I'm going to be curious to see what I can do with Rao And Judah is another Nanto Seiken practitioner of the same school as Shin and Rei. But right now, Rao's getting stomped. Because Judah has a guy who's helping him out, and I got poisoned. That didn't help.
Battle 2. Decide the destiny.
Now, the thing about Rao, along with his obvious physical stature, is that he is capable of actually... Oh! Well, there's the fatal KO for you. That took one shot, and I was gone. But what makes Rao the ultimate villain in the story is that he uses his power to be able to conquer the world. And he does it only to solidify his own position. Alright, we'll try Toki. As what he believes to be the successor to Hokuto Shinken would be. But the only person who could stop him is Kenshiro. And Toki should have been the one who was the last of the brothers standing, but he was caught in a nuclear explosion when the world basically ended. And he uses his ability to actually heal people. So he's more of a messianic figure and more of a tragic figure. Oh. See, this is what happens when Rei really gets going. And unfortunately, Toki just is not of a level where he can keep up. Although he was close. I was close to putting Rei down.
Battle 2. Decide the destiny.
Now, there was another arcade game for Fist of the North Star that came out in the States that I remember seeing in my local arcades in the Pacific Northwest. And it wasn't there for very long, but it was much more interactive, where rather than having a joystick and buttons, it was back at the time of basically early motion control. And it was like a one-on-one thing where you had a frame in front of a screen with 6 paddles. And what you had to do was it was basically a Dance Dance Revolution type of game, except set in this IP universe. And what you had to do was, in order to get past your opponent, you had to hit in sequence those 6 pads. If you hit it at the right time, you did certain amounts of damage. If you didn't, then the opponent you were fighting on the screen hit you back. And then if you were able to unlock a special attack, like Kenshiro's 100 Crack Fist, then you had to go and hit all of those pads in sequence in a certain way in a certain amount of time. Alright, let's take Kenshiro back. And we're going to start with Rei. And I played that version of Fist a couple of times, but it was a game cabinet that was almost always out of order because too many people had gone to town on it and beaten the hell out of it, literally. So I've got a couple of special moves I can pull together. Oh! But I need to be able to figure out how to unlock his biggest attacks. That'll work. And I like the fact that each character is not so drastically overpowered. Like Kenshiro ultimately finds a way to be able to take out everybody who stands in front of him in the series. Because he has to, because he's the hero. That's what they do. However, he is not also the sort of character who walks out of each fight unscathed. In fact, if you watch... There's an animated movie of Fist of the North Star that came out in 85, 86. And for a lot of kids my age, that's what we were introduced to this universe with. And it is... The final fight between Rao and Kenshiro is so bloody and so visceral that there's no way that either man should have survived it. I mean, there's blood literally seeping out of every pore on their body by the time the fight is over. And that is... There we go, as we put Ray down, but again, it was close. That is how this series is. It's very kinetic, it is very bloody, and it is very, very unflinching in hand-to-hand combat. Now I get to fight Jaggy, and Jaggy is truly the wicked stepbrother of Kenshiro. He's got the same 7 scars that he put in on himself to impersonate Kenshiro, and then wears the mask because Kenshiro, when he tried to take his right as the successor to the art from him, Kenshiro nearly killed him by hitting with a shot that quite literally almost made his head explode. But Jaggy, knowing how to stop it, was the only reason why he kept himself alive. We'll put Jaggy down.
Battle 2. Decide the destiny.
Ow. Did you just grab a... Oh, that hurt. I was gonna say, did I see a statue? Yeah, he's blocking with a statue. And he does have a gun. And because Fist of the North Star was patterned very much after the artistic style of he had me in a chair. That was new. Of Mad Max. That's why Jaggy's shotgun looks like Mad Max's shotgun. And why he is dressed in a similar way.
Final battle. Decide the destiny.
So I've got that spike down. He just hit me with a concrete post. Now, Jaggy is a bit of a coward. He will rely on weapons, and it bugs Kenshiro that he won't actually use Hokuto against him. And that he uses weapons like that, but one of the things that Kenshiro learns how to do is how to counter his reliance on it and beat the crap out of him like I did right there. So we're at 25 minutes, so we might as well wrap this up now. And that, in a nutshell, is, again, Fist of the North Star, the Twin Blue Stars of Judgment, History of the Fistmasters, or, as it is said in Japanese, Hokuto no Ken Shinpan no Sosoi Kengo Retsuden, for the PlayStation 2 from 2005/2007, as released on the PS2, but never released in the US. Now, ooh, and it's Kenshiro versus Toki. This would be a good fight. But I will get to that later. Now, first things first, is this a good game?
Decide the destiny.
Oop, let me pause there real quick, as Toki gets the first shot in. I would say if you are looking for something in the vein of Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat, Samurai Showdown, King of Fighters, any great 2D fighting game, and even if you know nothing about the characters, if you know nothing about this IP, if you know nothing about the world that it was created in, any of that stuff, yes, it is a very good game. It's a game that I can already see encourages multiple playthroughs. It encourages you to go through and learn all these abilities and all these attacks and things that you can do. And as you can see, there's quite a lot of them. So, like most great fighting games of the 90s, it encourages multiple playthroughs and repeat visits in order to master it. That's probably the best compliment you can give most fighting games. A bad fighting game is a game that you play once or twice and you go, eh. You know, and we've highlighted quite a few of those in this series to this point. But graphically, I think it's flawless. Even if this was a game that I knew nothing about in terms of the characters or anything else, I think the sprite design, the movement of the characters, the depth, the vitality of the graphics, the color in this game is really, really striking. Is this a game they could make today? They could, but I wouldn't see the reason why. If anything, I would love to see this released on a best of or something for the PS5 or put on the PlayStation Store or even put on Steam. I think it would be one that American audiences and American gamers who are looking for something different from the same Street Fighter 2, Mortal Kombat vein could have a lot of fun with it. If you're looking for something that's more, like I said, like King of Fighters or stuff like that, why not? The engine is sound. I mean, again, I've never played Guilty Gear. It's a series we're going to check out here at some point soon. It was on my short list until I found this version and knew that I could get a copy of it. I was like, okay, we'll try Guilty Gear out. I'm glad I went with this one first. But again, that's for my own personal biases and nostalgia anyway. But it does bug me that they did not release it in the US. They could have. I don't see why not. Unlike Super Robot Wars, the rights to Hokuto no Ken, it's not as convoluted. You're not having to pull from as many different things as you are with multiple IPs who are all crammed into a strategy game like Super Robot Wars is. I think the reason why it didn't come out was that because by 2000, 2005, the interest in the IP over on the States side wasn't as big. In Japan, it's still an institution. You know, it's been around for 4 decades now. They have gone back and reinterpreted and redesigned and revamped the anime multiple times, each successive generation getting a little bit better. The last ones that they did were really, really good that they came out, if I remember right, about 10 years ago. And last I heard, they're going to be doing new ones coming up in the next not foreseeable future if they haven't already. So it's one of those, it's like Godzilla. It's one of those franchises that gets reinvented every decade or so, but the general original concept and story that Tetsuo Ohara created of the post-apocalyptic world of these three brothers who are all very, very gifted and capable warriors, and the youngest of them, Kenshiro, being the one that has to go and basically save the world from itself. That storyline is still there, and it's unimpeachable, and it's just finding new ways to present it for modern audiences. So, yeah, if you have not tried this game, you can find it online, and again, I'm playing it on the PC SX2 emulator, which is a free emulator. If you want to try it actually on a PlayStation 2 console, you'd have to chip it, because again, it's a Japan-only game, so it won't play on a North American PS2. So a emulator for right now is your best bet to do so. But if you have never tried it, give it a whirl, man. I mean, I had a lot of fun with it, and you don't have to know the story as much as I do to get stuck into it if you just want a really good, well-crafted, visually quite impressive fighting game from the 2000s. But again, that's Suckerpunch Sunday for this week. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Hope you've been enjoying the content so far. We are so happy to be back in 2025 and putting out new stuff for you guys. And now we are officially caught up with where we were with Suckerpunch Sunday versus Sports Saturday. As I said a week ago, we got, for various reasons, got stumbled up a little bit and weren't able to continue coming up with stuff in the same pace. And now we've gotten that corrected, which was on our short list as well to do once the new year got underway. Be sure to tune in to Sports Saturday, by the way, as we are continuing with our playthrough on Sega Sports NFL 2K2 of trying to build the New England Patriots franchise of the dynasty of the 2000s without Tom Brady. We're doing pretty well in Season 2, but our big test is going to be coming up next week when we have to take on Peyton Manning of the Indianapolis Colts, who already beat us once this year, and I suspect they're going to be a handful going forward. Also, be sure to catch our ongoing playthrough of Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden from 2001 for the PS1. We're almost done with it. We've only got a couple more episodes to go, and then we're going to take a short break and then be back with our next playthrough, which we've already got in the books, and it's one that one of our loyal viewers has demanded we do. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet. I suspect they're going to know, but we'll let you know when we're ready to go on that one. Be sure to follow us on social media through Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Ronin's Retrocade. Help spread the word about us as we continue to build this channel and make it bigger and better. My name is Ronin. It's been great to spend this Suckerpunch Sunday with you. Be safe, be well, happy gaming. Stay dry if you're in the wet areas, and for God's sake, stay safe if you are down anywhere in the Southern California region you're tuning in to watching this. Hopefully you are able to get a nice break from what has been going on down there. And we will talk to you tomorrow as we jump back into Super Robot Wars Alpha Gaiden. Bye.